Because it's operational control, it has to be customized to each individual facility. Each facility has different problems. This isn't a one-size-fits-all type of interaction. And this may be part of why hospitals and other industries took a decade or more to adopt these types of systems. But at one hospital, we had a problem where the blood bank was always delaying cases. And part of the problem was personalities. The people down in the blood bank were always getting yelled at by the people up in the operating suite and vice versa, and they didn't like each other. But part of the problem was that the communication between those two areas was just basically phone calls. And the communication always occurred when there was a problem. So it was always stressful. They always needed to have something yesterday, and the attitude was always bad on both sides. Our system came in, and what it did is on the board, so everybody can see, just a simple little icon. And the icon was a blood bag icon that basically was either showing green, yellow, or red. Green meant that the blood bank had prepared the blood for this case and you didn't have to worry about it. Red meant that it hadn't been prepared yet. And yellow meant that they had a question that they needed answered. So it made it extremely simple for those two groups to understand where there was a problem and where there wasn't a problem. Instead of the last minute, the patient's rolling into the room and someone's like, wait a minute, I don't know if blood is ready yet. They haven't called us. So it became something where operationally now people were able to communicate seamlessly without phone calls, without a lot of stress. Everything, 90% of the cases were already taken care of, and the ones that weren't taken care of, people saw well in advance now, oh, blood bank has a question. They want to know what the weight on the patient is, or they want to know something else substantive about what they need to prepare. And that seamless communication allowed these two groups that were, it's going to sound a little biblical, mortal enemies of one another, to get along and to understand that this was a team effort, that now they had the same information and they were able to basically cooperate in a very efficient manner. One other good example is when people show up in the mornings, when patients show up in the morning, the most stressful time for a patient is when you've gone in and you've basically gone up to admissions. They see that you're there, and now you're waiting for a nurse to come and get you to bring you back to pre-op. This is where everybody just worries like crazy. You have an operation coming up, and you're very it's early in the morning. You're already pretty upset, and you're just sitting there waiting for somebody to come and get you. If you can minimize that time in a patient's journey, things are wonderful. For one thing, the patient is less stressful, which always makes for better outcomes. The second thing is it gives the family and the patient a much better feeling that as soon as you show up, you get brought back, everyone's taking care of you, everyone's very happy to see you, and you're not out there by yourself in the waiting room sort of eating your liver, so to speak. So what our system was able to do was when the patient arrived and and we saw that the patient was going through registration, as soon as registration was complete, the pre-op nurse on our system would see that the name of the patient changed from yellow to orange. And patients loved it. I mean, you always love it when you show up somewhere and somebody takes care of you immediately instead of you having to wait around. And this is just something that's universal when you're dealing with real-time operational control.